Hey, Planeswalkers, hope you're doing well and staying safe. It's yours truly, MetaMaster Mythras, here with another weekly series here of Friday Night Meta for you to equip you with the best decks, statistics, and all things here on Magic the Gathering Arena. We're off to some craziness here with Kamigwa Neon Dynasty. Lots of things moving, fast-paced changes, and excited for a load of information for you here today. So appreciate you tuning in. Flip me a like, smash the subscribe. We got a lot we're going through. You can check out down below in the timestamp standard, historic, Alchemy, and historic Brawl, best of one and best of three, all that great statistics here available to you today, and all around the craziness here in the meta. So appreciate you tuning in. Flip me the like, smash the subscribe. If you have a question or comment throughout today's video or some feedback, let me know down below, or you can hop on the Discord server, my friends. Great ways to support the channel as always. So thank you, and let's get started. So standard best of one here is what we got going on, bronze to mythic. So in totality, in terms of what we have happening here in the meta, mono white aggro leading, Naya humans in second, pretty close. So these two are hugging it pretty tight, around almost 60%. Then we got mono green Stompy, Selesnya enchantments, Orzhov tokens, Orzhov control, mono black control, and Is It Dragons for standard best of one, rounding things out. A couple of interesting things. We can still see that the top end, these top three decks are running it pretty tight. Now, interestingly enough, Selesnya enchantments is in the middle. We will see how that's prevailed and ensued here over the course of the last few episodes. So as you can see, it spiked super hard, and now it's starting to fall off in terms of popularity, in particular going from almost 20% down to 15, which is pretty big, and keep an eye on that. And I think the big thing here is we do see this spike in the win rate, but it really didn't get up higher above that or close to that 60%, like Naya humans has stayed, and along with mono white aggro, and really just kind of trended sideways there. So that's a big thing to see. We do see that similar style happening with Azorius control as well in the space, even though it's not showing up as one of the most popular decks here today. But let's go ahead, let's look at the more competitive space here. Naya humans is doing better. We got mono white aggro. Then we begin to see Esper control popping up, and a host of other things. And then you can see still Selesnya enchantments is actually the most popular played deck when we get into platinum. And then if we get to the very, very competitive scene in mythic, Naya humans taking it down, then Esper control in number 2, mono white aggro, mono black control, Azorius control popping back in here. Is It Mill being up there in mythic? We got Selesnya enchantments and mono green Stompy, and then you can see where things are landing here with mono white still being the most played deck. So that's everything at aggregate, and then also in the drill down in the competitive scene. Now we're going to flip over to best of 3 here for you today. Best of 3 is still dominated by mono white aggro. Naya runes is doing really, really well. And then that's a huge jump between 6%, then everything else around 55. We got Orzhov control, Esper midrange, Rakdos sacrifice, Esper control, Jeskai Hinata, and then Azorius control. Now it's still pretty tight here in terms of what's happening. The top 3 being Naya runes, Esper midrange, and Orzhov control. Not by much though. We still have that mono white aggro doing well, Jeskai Hinata, Esper control, Azorius control, and Rakdos sacrifice. We can see a huge shift in terms of Orzhov control dropping off, but still being one of the top played decks. And really the band's getting tight here in best of 3, which is pretty crazy in terms of what we've seen kind of over time and in the past with some of this meta. So let's go ahead and drill into the competitive space here again. Platinum and up. Again, mono white aggro at the top of the list here, Naya runes, Orzhov control, Esper midrange, and the works here, Azorius control popping in. And we can see those win rates or popularity as well. And then similar style here where we're getting decks really tight. But mono white aggro really starting to pull through here in terms of the win rate at that top space. And then if we get to mythic data, we got Naya runes, Esper midrange, Jeskai Hinata, and then Orzhov control, all pretty close here in those top 3 and what's being played. But again, a ton of fall off in terms of what's happening here in best of 3 today. So that is standard, my friends, at an aggregate as well as a competitive across best of 1 and best of 3. We're now going to take a look at Alchemy here. So in Alchemy, This is what we got going on in best of one. Rakdos Sacrifice, Mono Black Sacrifice, Selesnya Enchantments, Gruul Werewolves, Zora's Control, Izzet Mill, Orzhov Control, and Orzhov Clerics. Selesnya Enchantments heavily played, Gruul Werewolves certainly heavily played, Orzhov Control being the next piece there, and then you can see how things have kind of ensued and followed suit here. And this was also the big piece this week was the rebalancing. So this gives you an early look at what's happening here in Alchemy as well. I forgot to mention that. And as we move to the more competitive space or best of one, we see lots of things changing here in terms of what's going on. Again, similar towards that top end is what's happening with our lovely decks. And then last but not least, in the competitive space, just not enough data yet. Not surprised nonetheless. All right, so let's go ahead and look at best of three. Best of threes at Gruul Werewolves. Not surprised that that was going to be the one that we would see. Same thing all the way across the board. Not enough information there. All right, so that is Alchemy for us. Big rebalancing, lots of snapshots here going on in terms of some of the new stuff. So we'll stay tuned to see how things kind of evolve here. Let's go ahead and go to historic. Historic resource control was at the top here in terms of an aggregate. We still see Selesnya Squirrel Twin being one of the most played decks though. And then you can see everything else here behind it. Mono red aggro, Azorius Auras, Selesnya Squirrel Twin, mono green elves, Mardu vehicles popping in there. So this is the Reanimator deck. Izzet Phoenix and then Selesnya Enchantments. And then you can see here on the right side, pretty tight in terms of what's being played here. And again, the rebalancing having a little bit of an effect. Lots of players jumping back on the Squirrel Twin bandwagon to take advantage of what's going on there. And then certainly that win rate had been doing really well there towards the end. Let's get to more competitive scene as we do. Just a couple changes here on the bottom end. Not too much otherwise. Let's see what Mythic's got for us. A couple things. Mono red aggro, mono green elves, and Selesnya Enchantress, some tried and true decks here. And you can see certainly a lot of the meta, 30% being taken up by these three in best of one. So that's a key thing to keep in mind. Let's pop over to best of three here. In best of three, we got Izzet Phoenix, Azorius Auras, Golgari Food, Azorius Control, and then Rakdos Arcanist. And you can see the rest of the stuff here on the right. We see some of that changing, that rebalancing, Azorius Control popping up, being more played. Again, some of the other numbers here, very close to where they were before, but making certainly some differences as Auras falling down quite a bit. And then you can see the win rates there kind of moving around as well. And we'll continue to watch this as the meta kind of settles. Izzet Phoenix doing very nice at that 65% there in best of three. Let's go to the more competitive scene. We see a couple changes here in terms of what's happening. And then last but not least in Mythic, just not enough information. There we go. So that is historic for you. So we've covered standard, alchemy, and historic, best of one and best of three. Let's go ahead and take a peek at historic Brawl. So here we go. Lots of changes. We got Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy, Heliod Suncrown, Synthis, Nicol Bolas, Winata getting back in there, Azika, Koyo Dai, Soul of Kamigawa. This is the Shrines deck. And Golos, Tireless Pilgrim. You can see everything being around that 2 to 3%. Very tons of movement around in terms of Kamigawa and what's been released. And then you can kind of see how Kinnan's still been dominating that top end of historic Brawl, my friends. So that is the last snapshot that we have here for you today. We'll go back over standard for now. We do want to cover some of the key decks out of the events that may have changed things here. Obviously, we do know Alchemy's had that rebalancing. So first off, we got the Pizza Box. As always, these guys run a lot of great events. Always like to showcase them as well. We can see what's happening here. We got Max Dory on Naya Runes. So we certainly saw Runes doing very well in standard. So keep an eye on those things. We got Izzet Control, Esper Midrange, the Jeskai combo deck, Mono Green Aggro, Jeskai combo. So lots of stuff there in terms of what's going on. Very healthy win rates nonetheless. Then we got Hooglandia. So this one's for Alchemy here. 93 players. In this one, taken down by a Naya midrange deck by Henry Mildenstein. We got Gruul Werewolves, Rakdos midrange, Naya midrange falling behind that, and Esper Clerics. In terms of what's happening, a very solid 10-0, great runs here with that list. Last but not least, we do have a historic one. So this one is Feb Degen Open, sponsored by Ultra Pro. And here, what we have going on, is it Phoenix? Is it Phoenix? Is it Phoenix? So very, very popular tech, and certainly matching kind of the meta in terms of what we saw in a historic best of 3 as well here today on Friday Night Meta, my friends. So to round this all back out, we took a look at some of the changes in standard Alchemy with its rebalancing, historic this week, and then historic Brawl. We talked about some of the key statistics and data and some of the top decks in terms of what's dominating. So certainly things continue to move around, very fast pace, which is great. It's a very, very healthy meta, as we like to say, and we can see that with some of the popularity trend and compression in the decks that are being played. So Planeswalkers, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have a question or comment, please let me know down below, or some feedback. I'd love to hear from you. As always, flip me that like, smash the subscribe. Love to see you around some more. I appreciate that support very much. And lastly, other great ways to support the channel. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, YouTube members, as always, for that additional contribution. And last but not least, Planeswalkers, you stay safe, you take care. We got a lot more stuff coming your way, top decks, standard, historic, all that fun jazz, Alchemy. We do a lot here on the channel. Last but not least, like I said, stay safe, you take care. Until next time, Mythras out.